I mean, this is worse than that time that guy in that movie with Brad Pitt asked his brother's fiance to marry him 3 months after the brother died. Hi, season 5 is only 10 days away from release, and most of us definitely stopped watching after season 2. Not all of us have the time to binge watch all 4 seasons, so I was thinking I'm just gonna recap just 3 and 4 for now because they are the most related to season 5 and to each other. By the way, this is an audio only recap, so don't sit and stare at the screen like a hawk, okay? Go ahead and do your dishes, laundry, skincare, cleaning, cooking, brush your teeth, whatever. Trust me to walk you through Stranger Things season 3 from start to finish. Can I also tell you that season 3 is my favorite after the first season because it's so summery, it's colorful, and had the perfect ending to end the show. I don't know if you guys have watched Netflix's Lost in Space, but that's a show that knew when to end. That is with season 3. So, in case season 5 turns out to be disappointing, I'm just gonna assume that Stranger Things ended with season 3. Let's get started with the first episode. First episode is titled Susie. Do you copy? Who the hell is Susie, you ask? Patience. This episode and the season opens in a Russian facility on the 28th of June in 1984, 1 year before the events of season 3. How do we know it's Russian? Because the intro ends with a shot of the Soviet Union flag flying high in a place covered with snow. Sirens, armed guards, scientists rushing, alarms blaring. Clearly, a high security experiment zone. Inside, there's a massive metal device that is humming and sparking. Two scientists in lab coats. They stand at opposite control terminals and they're watching over this device. And there are guards in hazmat suits around the device. So, just like those nuclear thingies, both scientists they turn their keys at the same time. The device powers up, shoots a stream of energy towards a drumroll, please, gate. Similar to what El closed in the last season, but we know it's not the same because we are in Russia. A couple seconds later, the machine completely overloads and energy pulse just shoots backwards and zaps all the soldiers. And then a mean Russian general, he unalives the older scientist and he comes to the younger scientist and he goes, "You've got 1 year." Okay, cut to black, title card. Okay, now it's 1985 and it's a shot of a radio and the shot just pans to Elle and Mike kissing in her room for what feels like an eternity. Yeah, they are very annoying this season and a very grumpy, valid Hopper that their door is closed. He wants it open 3 inches minimum. Okay. Mike eventually leaves while still talking to Elle on the walkie on his way. Even 1980s. Okay, never mind. So he goes to meet his friends, Will, Lucas's girlfriend Max at this newly opened, absolutely packed Starcourt Mall in Hawk. They are rushing to sneak into a movie. The movie is Day of the Dead with the help of Steve, who now works at Scoops Ahoy. Scoops Ahoy is an ice cream parlor, along with the new intro for this season, Robin. Apparently, Steve didn't make it to college, so he's working for like $3 an hour. The kids they settle in the theater, and a minute later, the power goes out in the entire town and everything just stops for a couple minutes before it's back on and everything goes back to normal except Will is now Harry Potter. He's touching the back of his neck instead of his scarf because something evil is back. While the power is out, we see these particles form into a creature in an abandoned warehouse and terrorizing the resident rats there. It's the next day. Nancy wakes up with Start next to Jonathan because the power reset the clocks and now they're late to work. Both of them work for a newspaper and they're rushing like crazy to get to work. And you see a bit of strain in the relationship because Nancy is being treated like a delivery girl at office and Jonathan is more respected and he doesn't get how she feels, so you can feel that strain in the relationship. This is also when we see Joyce. She's picking up the things that was stuck on the fridge. For some reason all her magnets fell off, so she had like these drawings, Will's drawing, a drawing of Bob, and when she walks into the kitchen everything's on the floor and she's like, "Oh, why are my magnets on the floor?" She's thinking. Now you're probably asking, where's Dustin? Dustin, he's coming back home after a summer camp and he's annoyed that none of his friends are answering back on the walkie. So when he gets home, his toys start moving on their own. He follows them with like a hairspray in hand, only to be surprised by the gang and he sprays Lucas in the eye. Honestly, the way Lucas was behaving this season, I think he deserves that, man. At this point, he deserves. So he starts showing them all his inventions from camp until he shows the final boss, an unassembled radio tower kit thingy that he can use to talk to his girlfriend Susie, who is in Utah and in Mormon. And surprisingly, everyone's shocked. Okay, So they're like, oh my god, Dustin has a girlfriend. So he's like, yes. So come with me to go assemble the radio tower and we can talk to her directly. So off they are going to climb up a hill. Okay, they're gonna set up the tower. Then we get to a shot of the community pool. It's summer, so it's filled with kids and people. Hot moms lounging and thirsting after Billy, the lifeguard. I mean, Billy is what, 19? Everyone, these old ladies are thirsting after this man. And Billy and Mrs. Wheeler, they have a moment, and he sets up to meet her at a motel later that day. So they kind of flirt back and forth, and he's like, maybe we should meet up at like say 8 o'clock in the night. In town, all the shops have now closed because of the mall, except the one where Joyce works. Even that is running a clearance sale. And Hopper walks in. He's coming and whining. He comes to whine to Joyce about Mike and Eleven, and she actually ends up writing him a script to have a talk with them. She gives him advice, and he's like, I can't do this. I can't talk to them. Why don't you talk to them? And she's like, no, but I'll write you a script. You can just use that to talk to them. So once she gives that, he's like, why don't we go out for dinner? Sort of. He's calling her out on a date, which she refuses because Bob died 6 months ago. I mean, this is worse than the time that guy in that movie with Brad Pitt asked his brother's fiance to marry him 3 months after the brother died. I cannot be bothered to remember what that movie is. I watched that, and the girl in that movie just got passed around. I was surprised Anthony Hopkins didn't try it on with her. Like, that was weird, man. That was a very weird movie. So Joyce basically friend zoned him with a ballpoint pen. At the office, Nancy, she's delivering everyone's breakfast, and this bunch of misogynistic a-holes, they are discussing what topic should we cover next? What should we write? What's gonna be our new headline? And then Nancy decides to take a chance, and she's like, she suggests that maybe they should write about the closing of small business because of mall. But it's the 80s and she's a woman, so obviously they end up making fun of her. Mike and Levin, they ditch the team at the base of the hill because curfew apparently. And obviously, Dustin is super annoyed. And then he's like, why are they running off so early? And then Will is like, that's how it's been this entire summer. All of a sudden, Will senses something again. I mean, Will's spidey sense immediately goes off because, of course, it does. And this time, we see rats running through the field again. None of them see the rats, just us. All these rats, they pull like a Pied Piper to a warehouse to end up bursting into slime. Like, all these rats just burst into slime, jelly blobs. God, the body horror in this season is lit. Like, it's on another level. It's very gory. Back to the kids, they set up the tower, and Dustin tries to contact Susie, and it's just a moot point at this point. So everyone thinks that he's probably bluffing, that there's no Susie, in fact, like there's no girlfriend. So they eventually leave him to it. Like, Max and Lucas, they're like, it's late, we are leaving. And Will is like, I need to go too, it's really late. So Dustin keeps trying, like, Susie, 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 do you copy? But there's no Susie on the other side. But what happens is he somehow ends up intercepting a Russian transmission. By this point, it's night, and at the buyer's house, Joyce, she's home alone. She's obviously missing Bob. It's been only 6 months, so she's thinking about all the times they spent together. And Nancy's still at office, so she answers a call that comes to the office about rats probably carrying a disease. And Hopper, he tries to have the talk with Mike and Elle, but they just keep giggling, man. Even he's annoyed. He does this, he's like, hey, Mike, your mom called. It's about your nana. And then he gets Mike to his Jeep and threatens the shit out of him. Good. You should have seen Mike's face. I mean, if you guys ever want to watch this season or this episode, you should see Mike's face. It's like, the young Russian scientist from a year ago, he's now the head scientist, and he's working on the machine that looks like it's working. We know it's working because it's emitting blue light. If it's not working, it'll be emitting red light. And Mrs. Wheeler, she's like all prepped up to go meet Billy. She's almost removing her wedding band, but she makes a last minute mind change and she ends up not going. So this episode actually ends with Billy, he crashes his car on the way to the motel, and he gets dragged by the creature or monster or whatever to the warehouse. The same warehouse where there was a mass bursting into slime moment by the rats. Billy is being taken there. Billy's human zero, I guess. Episode 2, the mall rat. Yeah, so Billy is possessed by the Mind Flayer, and Elle, she's restless that Mike hasn't come to see her yet, and she calls him only for him to end up lying. Hopper is in a mood. He's like singing along to songs and all that and goes to thank Joyce, but doesn't tell he completely ignored her advice. So he sets up a dinner date with her. She's clearly not ready. Dude, just leave her alone. But he does it anyway. And they set up to meet up at Enzo's, which is like a fine dining place. Anyhow, before he leaves, he points to fallen magnets at the store for her to clean up. And Joyce is now curious because with the magnets, I mean, more magnets keep falling off. Off she goes. She goes to the library to pick up as many books as she can on the subject. And when that doesn't work, she drives as fast as possible to Mr. Clark's house. Mr. Scott Clark, the science teacher. She goes for an in-person lesson about electromagnets. And Hopper, he heads out to clear a protest in front of the mayor office against the mall. People are not happy that the mall is here. Everyone hates the mall except the kids. And the mayor, what's his solution? He's planning to throw a big 4th of July. So Nancy is off with Jonathan to go meet this late night caller who turns out to be Mrs. Driscoll. She's a sweet old lady and to figure out the rat problem. Basically, rats have been munching on bags of fertilizer. And while Nancy goes upstairs to make some calls to check if there have been any complaints about infected rats, Jonathan is at the basement trying to get a photo of the rat. Turns out Mrs. Driscoll, she caught one, and the rat inside the cage is going batshit crazy, right? That rat was possessed and it was on pre workout. So Nancy finally finds a lead, and Jonathan leaves the rat to go join her. And then the lights in the basement start flickering, and the rat bursts into a jelly blob, and the blob just runs away somewhere. It just slithers away somewhere. Yikes. Elle goes to Max, and I think this is the first time they're talking to each other since season 2. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, but in season 2, when Elle breaks open the door, Max goes to say hi, and Elle is a bit pissed because Max was talking to Mike previously. So Elle goes to Max and she tells everything about Mike's behavior. And Max is like, no, bestie, he's lying. And they end up going to the mall, and Elle doesn't even know what she likes. And Max is playing tour guide, stylist, best friend, all that. While Mike and Lucas, they are on the other hand trying to fix the problem. And Lucas is the worst at relationship advice. He goes, you need to win her back. And off they go to the mall to get her a gift. And poor Will is like, he's just stuck there, like, can we please play D&D? So at the mall, Mike meets Elle and he's throwing a fit. He's throwing a fit that Max is taking her out when her life could be at risk. And Elle just dumps his ass. I mean, Dustin, he goes to his new favorite team and he tells him about the Russian transmission. So Scoop's team, that is Dustin, Steve, and Robin, they're trying to crack the code. I love whatever is wrong with Robin. She's so chaotic and ADHD coded, and I feel seen. So Robin somehow manages to figure out the first sentence, and Steve is distracted by the music on the tape. He's like, hold on, hold on. What is that music? It's very familiar. It's very familiar. And Dustin is like, dude, focus. You're focusing on the wrong thing. And then Billy, he's at the pool. He's super hot and sweaty, not because of summer, but because he's now infected. And basically, Will from season 2, 2.0. He ends up kidnapping Heather, his colleague, because the Mind Flayer is building an army, and Billy ends up feeding her to the monster at the warehouse at night. Heather absolutely did not sign up for this on her summer job application. Hopper is waiting for Joyce. He ends up spending a questionable time at Enzo's because Joyce is at the teacher's. She's trying to figure out what's causing the magnets to lose their magnetism, which Mr. Clark explains that that a bigger power source could cause that, and that there must be a machine that if there is a machine that's using a lot of power that could cause the magnets to lose their magnetism temporarily, and that obviously such technology doesn't exist. But Joyce, her radar is off. Like, she's like, something is off, something is off, that doesn't feel right. So by night, the Scoops team, they've actually figured out the code. It says something like, the week is long, the silver cat feeds when blue meets yellow in the west. But Steve, he ends up finding out that the music on the recording is the same one. It's from one of those toy riding horses inside the mall, and that the code wasn't coming from Russia, it's coming from inside Hawkins. And that, my dear friends, it leads us straight into the chaos of episode 3. Episode 3, the case of the missing lifeguard. This episode title is so Nancy Drew coded. It fits because those men, those evil men at Nancy's office, they keep calling her Nancy Drew. That's her nickname. But I don't know whether it was intentional, but this is perfect. And I really need to read Nancy Drew again. It's been so long. So what's happening? Max, she's having a sleepover at Elle's, which is a great relief for Hopper. He's like, finally, a girl. there's a girl having a sleepover. So he's really happy. And both Max and Elle, they end up using Elle's powers to spy on the boys. And the boys are just burping and farting, which is ew. But they also spy on Billy for funsies. Like these girls, they've set up like a spinning thing, like a board with different names, and then they spin the bottle to see whose name it lands on, and then it lands on Billy's, and they just decide to spy on Billy for funsies. And Elle sees Billy in front of a tied up Heather, and he senses her there. Somehow Billy senses Elle there, and I don't understand why every time Elle is in her superpower spying mode, she's so scared. She's like, ah, she starts screaming for no reason. Like, I don't even know why. So she just books it from there, right? And it's the next day, and now it's Will's turn to be in a mood. His hormones are like working overtime. He basically starts a campaign. He's like all dressed up like a magician, mage. Both Mike and Lucas are like super distracted. He's like, we have to do this campaign. So he starts a campaign, and Mike and Lucas, they're playing, but they're so distracted. Like every time a call comes, they're like, oh my god, is it L? Is it L? Is it L? So Will ends up storming off. He's like, you know what? No, I can't play with you guys. And then Mike tries to tell him that we can't be teenagers forever. The thing is, I don't know. It's like season one, Will was kidnapped in the beginning itself. And then season two, there's the drama from season two. It's just he never got to spend a normal childhood, but also he can't expect everyone to be like him. So Mike tries to tell him that they won't be teenagers forever, and that it's not his fault that Will doesn't like girls. So not only is Will super introverted, but he's also not ready for change. He doesn't want new people coming to his party. Like, I'm not sure if you guys if anyone watched season two, you know that when Dustin and Lucas were trying to get Max into the group, Will was like, why is she coming? Like, we don't need new people. Did they get your permission and all that? And this is also the first time that we get a hint that Will might be gay. Hopper, he wakes up in the morning to find Elle gone to Max's for a sleepover now. And Joyce, she's like, oh my god, Hopper. She's super excited. She's trying to explain the magnet theory, while all he cares is the fact that she was with another man. And she's like trying to explain that I was with this teacher, and he's like, oh, another man? Is that your new boyfriend? I mean, Hopper, be serious for a second. Dude, stop being a man child for once. All he cares is that she was with another man and that she stood him up. So she's like, you have to take me to the lab right now. Like, what if it's them? What if something's happening? So she's demanding. He takes her back to the Hawkins lab, and he keeps telling her that it's abandoned. So to take matters into her own hands, she goes to Hopper's shed, and she takes those big chain cutter things from his shed. And Hopper is like, fine, 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 I'll take you. Just, I mean, I guess that's how you do it. If man's not accompanying you, go steal his tools, I guess. Elle and Max, they're at Max's house. They're playing detective. So after going through, like, so Elle probably told Max what she saw Billy was doing. So they go through Billy's room, and they find a tub with like ice packets, all melted ice packets, drops of blood here and there, and Heather's fanny pack under the sink. So they take it to the pool to find out more about Heather, and surprise, surprise, both Billy and Heather are not there. So Elle, she goes to the shower cubicles. Like Max, she turns on the shower in all the cubicles. So Elle uses that instead of the static to go to use her spying superpowers on Heather, and she ends up finding out where Heather lives. Nancy, she doesn't learn her lesson. I mean, to all that humiliation, she keeps going back. She goes to the men office, and she's explaining this rat story. Not surprisingly, they end up laughing at her. She's fighting demons and sexism at the same time. So she's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go bring the rat. And she's going off again with Jonathan. I mean, are these two even clocking in work hours? Because I'm surprised. Like, she keeps taking him. Steve and Dustin, they're at the mall. They're trying to spy on possible evil Russians. And Steve, he's such a, instead of like looking for evil Russians, he's looking at random women and random people, and he's like, oh my god, I can't believe she's with him. But Robin, on the other hand, she manages to decode another line from the transmission. Like, she's working, she's decoding. So she manages to decode another line which says, a trip to China sounds nice if you tread lightly. And then she puts two and two together and cracks the code just like that. It basically points to different stores in the mall and a time. So what happens is, this delivery guy comes to deliver something to Robin, and then she notices that the logo on his delivery dress is a cat. It's a lynx. So she's like, oh my god, silver cat. And then she thinks that, oh my god, what if this is something to do with the mall? So she just runs out to the mall, and then she looks at everything, and the clock at the mall is blue and yellow. So what they mean by when blue and yellow meets in the West is that something happens at 8:45 that involves the Lynx delivery drivers. Joyce and Hopper, they're at the lab. Every single cavity has been filled. Like the last time in season 2, there was like a cliff. I don't know what do you call that. It was like deep. It's not, so basically everything, all the cavities have been filled, the gate cemented shut. It's as abandoned can be. And they end up having a little chat, and Hopper tells Joyce that she's not the only one who's paranoid. He's also paranoid. He almost shot someone's dog thinking it's a Demogorgon. He tells Joyce that he knows that she's trying to sell the house because in season 2 Bob had a plan to move to Maine, and she was like, so after Bob died, I think she's planning on moving to Maine, but the boys don't know it yet. So they are trying to have that chat when they hear a noise inside the lab. And Hopper, he goes looking. It's like, ooh, he clocks his gun and he's like, I'm gonna go look who that is. And he gets bonked in the head by a Russian Terminator who speeds away in a bike. And Nancy and Jonathan, they go to Driscoll's house again to go look for the rat, but she doesn't open the door. So they kind of break and enter. I mean, the door is unlocked. So Nancy just opens the door and they end up finding Mrs. Driscoll in the basement eating handful of fertilizer. Oops. The Scoops team, I actually like that name, Scoops team. Scoops team, they're spying on the warehouse slash storage area of the mall. It's raining, it's pouring. So basically, boxes marked as Imperial Panda and Kaufman shoes, they are being moved to a storage room that is guarded with Russian men with guns. So there they have their Russians. So they're like, something is there in that room, but we can't go there because it's armed. There are guards outside. There is no way we can go there without getting killed. And Elle and Max, they head to Heather's house. And I have absolute secondhand embarrassment sometimes because Elle, she just taps the door. She just knocks on the door like a couple times. And when they don't open, she just unlocks it. So she does that and walks right into the dining room where Billy and Heather's parents, they're having dinner. And Billy, he just introduces Max as his sister. What's really interesting is that he introduces Max by her full name, Maxine. Would make sense if it was him introducing to Heather's parents, but he does it twice. Even to Heather, he's like, "This is my sister Maxine." It kind of connects to something in season 4. I can't tell it if you haven't watched season 4 yet, but there's a lot of Easter eggs throughout this, especially the way Billy talks. The way he speaks certain words, the intonation, it sounds a lot like a very specific character from season 4. So I am 100% sure that he was being possessed. It's that guy. It's that guy for sure. Billy, he recognizes Elle because like in the montage, they just show him looking at Elle and he remembers her closing the door, the gate in the last season. But it's more than that. I'm telling you, it's more than that. They can't show more because again, back to season 4. I will ruin season 4 for you. So I'm not going to do that. And then Elle is like, "Where's Heather?" And out walks Heather with a big smile, holding a tray of cookies. "Girl, you almost got killed 12 hours ago. What do you mean cookies?" By the way, Tom from the Post, Nancy's boss, Heather's dad. And Max, somehow she ends up bluffing her way out and she says that their colleagues are looking for them. So they were curious. That's why they came there. And they do a quick exit. Will is still in a mood. He's nostalgic. I mean, I get it. I'm still nostalgic and I'm still not ready to see my sisters grow up. He's just, sometimes I just look back and I'm like, I wish we didn't grow up because we can't do the same things that we did as kids because no one has the time now. Everyone has jobs. It's very difficult to even play a game of Monopoly now. But basically, Will is annoyed. He's staring photos. He's breaking down castle buyers. And Mike and Lucas, they end up showing up. They show up like wet puppies because it's raining. And then bam, Mind Flayer sense is activated. And Will goes, "He's back." Why? Because Billy and Heather just knocked out her parents and added them to the monsters buffet. The Mind Flayer is building an army and Hawkins is on the menu, baby. Okay, season 4. Sorry, oh my god. Episode 4. The cops are called on Mrs. Driscoll. I mean, not called on. I think they're just here to help her. And now it's her turn to go rat shit crazy. She's tied down and she keeps screaming, "I need to go back. I need to go back." Go where? To eat more fertilizer? Girl. When the ambulance passes by the warehouse, I swear she would have yeeted herself out of that stretcher if she had one superpower, because like she stretches out one of her arms and she's like, oh, my home. That's how she reacts. Like Hopper, he got bonked last episode, right? So he's finally conscious and he wants to get on this case ASAP. He's like, I need to go find this guy. And Joyce, she gives him a paper with the number plate, but it's not like the complete number plate. There's like dashes and there's a lot of blanks. And he's like, what is this? And she's like, this is the number plate of the guy that hit you. He just sped off in a vehicle. And she's like, but I'm not sure. I'm not very confident because the letters could be this or that. Hopper is like, Hopper being Hopper. He's like, how do you expect to find a car with incomplete numbers? And she's like, it wasn't a car, it was a bike. Mike, Lucas, Will, they're broadcasting a code red because if you remember, Will did the his back thing. So they keep calling, they keep radioing the girls, and Max is like, it's early in the morning, can you stop calling? They decide to join them because they've been annoying. They keep radioing them and then calling them like, you need to get here ASAP. And once they get there, Will explains that even though Elle closed the gate last season, the demon-ish Mind Flayer, that puff of air that left Will during the exorcism kind of thing, that must have lingered in Hawkins. So even though Elle closed the gate, it's possible that this fellow got trapped inside Hawkins and might have attached itself to a new host who the girl think might be Billy. Dustin is still MIA. Coop's team, they're trying to figure out how to get to the room, and Robin, as usual, flies off to go get blueprints of the mall and its air ducts. Turns out there is an air duct at Scoop's that feeds directly into that room. How convenient for the plot, huh? Only problem, none of them, not even no collarbone Dustin, fit into it. Nancy and Jonathan, they're fired by Tom, who is very much alive again, except for a band-aid. He gives them an earful, but he also tells them that Driscoll is a schizophrenic patient, and they were not aware of that. So on their way to like to drop Nancy at home, Jonathan is belittling Nancy. He's just lecturing Nancy. I mean, girl, why are you with him? I don't understand. And Mike and Co, they're spying on Billy. They're at the pool and they come up with a plan to get the Mind Flayer hiding inside Billy out, because Bill says that sometimes the Mind Flayer comes out only when he wants to. So they're coming up with a plan, and while they are working on that plan, Elle and Mike, they end up having a chat, and she tells Hopper might have been right. She's like, you know what? Hopper is right. Maybe I spent too much time with you. And she kind of let it slip that she might have spied on the guys. So where's Hopper? Hopper, he's at the mayor's office with Joyce because he saw this Russian Terminator with a bike helmet during his last visit. So as soon as Joyce said helmet, as soon as Joyce said bike, he's like, oh, this guy. So he went to the mayor's office and the mayor is like, who? Oh, maintenance guy? Oh, plumber? I'm not sure. Oh, must be some random guy. So it takes breaking a nose and almost taking off the mayor's finger for him to confess that that Terminator guy actually works for Starcourt, and Starcourt has been buying random properties at Hawkins. So what the mayor did was he pushed these people to sell their properties. So on behalf of that, in exchange, this Terminator guy brings gifts from whoever who owns Starcourt. Good for Larry. He actually keeps these records of these sales in his house, sort of like an insurance. They take the mayor to his house, get the records, and once they've tied him up, Joyce actually finds out that the properties, all these properties that Starcourt has been buying, are close to a power plant, and there's a high possibility that one of these houses might have the machine that caused the power cut and like made all her magnets fall. I think one of the greatest questions that's been repeated many times throughout this season is what caused the magnets to fall. So Scoop's team, they are trying to endanger child, aka Erica, aka Lucas's little sister. She kind of milks that capitalism cow and agrees to go through the air duct in exchange for a free lifetime ice cream shop. Did I also tell you that it's very difficult to watch this season without craving Sundays? Like, I'm not sure why every time I watch this season, I end up wanting ice cream. So Erica goes through the ducts. So at night, after the mall has closed, she goes through the air ducts, opens the gate for the rest of the team. They open these boxes to find these lantern-looking things with a glowing substance inside this box. Think of it like a lantern filled with green, glowy liquid. Once they've like checked that out, they try to get out of the room, but the room is locked. So they end up pressing like random buttons, and the room starts moving. Turns out the room is an elevator that is speeding down, 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 down. It's going towards Russian. Joyce and Hopper, they're doing a full sweep of these abandoned houses and they find nothing. So now they are going to the final house. Back to Nancy. She came home crying because Jonathan is her boyfriend, obviously, and she has a chat with her mom. That might actually mean more than we think we know, because there's something about Mrs. Wheeler's dialogue. I don't know why. It's very specific. If you've watched season 4 and with all the theories that's going around for season 5, the way she words things, it like when you look at it, it looks like something a mother would tell to her daughter about how women are being treated in the 80s. But it feels like it's more than that. I don't know why. So after the pep talk from her mom, Nancy, she heads to the hospital to check on Mrs. Driscoll, because she's like, I'm going to finish this case. And when she goes to the room, Driscoll's heart rate just spikes up like crazy, and she looks like one of those characters from Conjuring or The Exorcist. She's like all possessed and black veins all over, just like how Will did in season 2, except that she's wrinkly. So what's happening at the pool? Mike and Co, they're getting on with their plan, which is to get Billy inside the sauna after hours and to increase the temperature to the max, because the Mind Flayer is inside him. He doesn't like the heat, so he's probably going to come out. So that happens. They increase the temperature and the Mind Flayer comes out. Billy almost kills Max and gives Elle a purple choker. I mean, he chokes her. He leaves a mark on her neck, and Elle ends up throwing Billy around like a tennis ball through a wall. Like, she just throws him across and throws him through a wall. He just breaks the wall and falls on the ground. Elle really likes her wall throws. I mean, you'll see. I mean, you'll definitely. So this episode ends with Billy telling Heather at the warehouse that Elle knows about him and could have killed him. But Heather says, yes, but not all of us. And oh my god, have we got the army. Monster said variety. There are kids, there are teens, there's old people, there's young people. Nice. But also, this army is listening to a very old song. I don't know. I can't stop thinking about season 4. That's why I'm saying, because there's this really old school song. I can't remember who sings that, but it's like 1960s 20s ish song that plays in the 4th season, so it reminds me of that. Episode 5 is called The Flayed. So Coop's team, they're like panicking trying to stop the elevator, and it's still headed down at full speed. Someone manages to press some button and stop it, and it does, but they can't go out because they need an electronic key card. So Dustin and Steve climb up the elevator to see if they can climb out. Like, they're like, okay, maybe we can climb out to the elevator, only to realize that they are in deep. Hopper and Joyce, they head to the final house on the list, where they actually find a humming machine underground that is causing the lights to pulse. As soon as they enter the house, the lights start flickering, and you hear like a zoom, zoom, zoom. And they also find Russian scientists and a mechanic, and they get them handcuffed. Terminator comes looking for them, because I didn't tell you, right? The mayor's wife, she returned home, found him tied up, and the first thing he did was call the guy. So Terminator and Hopper, they end up fighting each other, start shooting, guns ablaze. Somehow they end up escaping, with Hopper cuffed to the Russian scientist and Joyce driving with broken windows because the Russian peppered the jeep with like bullets and stuff. Nancy calls Jonathan at like early in the morning. She calls him to tell that she's at the hospital visiting Driscoll. She doesn't give a shit about what Jonathan thinks and wants to know where Will is and if he's safe. Bro, this girl cares more about Will than Jonathan does. And now Jonathan is concerned because it has something to do with his brother. Back to Hopper and Joyce. They're in the woods now. The jeep is smoking, so it broke down in the middle of the woods. And Joyce is trying to have a conversation with Alexei. That's his name, the Russian scientist. That's his name, about the magnets. And he doesn't speak English, so she's trying to like gesture, like she's trying to show magnets, and she's like, Magneto, Magneto. And that's how just having that conversation. And Hopper is like annoyed. Yes, Alexei actually ends up saving Hopper and Joyce from exploding along with the jeep, because those two are trying to fix it, and he's handcuffed to a tree, and he's like, stop, 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 stop. But because he doesn't know English, he doesn't know what to tell them, so both of them just come out of the vehicle, and the vehicle just explodes. Now all three of them are walking through the woods. They're trying to get to Illinois, because whoever the acquaintance Hopper has in Illinois is the only one who can speak Russian, and there are no Russian translators in Hawkins apparently. Elle is using her spying powers. She's trying to spy on where Hopper is and Joyce is, and she tells the team that they're headed to Illinois. And all of them are holed up at Mike's basement. They're trying to come up with a strategy to end the Mind Flayer. And I think I agree with Mike with this one, because he's like, the last time we tried to end him, he didn't end. So there must be a better way to kill him. Like there must be some way to hit him at all points. This is when Nancy and Jonathan they end up showing up. They show up to the basement. Scoop's team, Dustin is trying to radio up topside, but I'm not sure if I told this, but Dustin is actually trying to play Cupid to Steve and Robin. He's like, you have the nicest girl next to you. I mean, Steve hasn't had any luck with girls this year. So Dustin is like, you have the nicest person next to you, so why not try her? To which Steve replies that she's still in school and that she's in band. So apparently he has a type. I mean, all of us were actually expecting Steve and Robin to get together. In the meantime, Erica, she's like super thirsty and she considers drinking the green glowing substance. And Robin's like, nah, So while they are having the discussion and Dustin and Steve are on top of the elevator, they hear these vehicles coming. Vehicles, as in, I don't know what you call those, but those golf cart looking things where you transport huge boxes, it's those. So they hear that. So Erica and Robin they climb up to the elevator, wait for the workers, these Russian workers, to take the boxes and leave. And before the gate closes, they use that lantern thing to hold the gate and they just escape from the bottom. So once the gate crushes that lantern, whatever that was inside the lantern just explodes. So it's super corrosive. Good thing Robin said no, right? So now they walk into the bowels of the facility. That's just long lit up tunnels, just long walkways. I mean, in their defense, it wasn't built for walking. So there's that. At the Wheelers, Nancy, Jonathan, Mike, and Co. They're regrouping, and Nancy explains that it was the same thing Will went through in season 2. Her symptoms, everything that Driscoll went through, and she said that even the body temperature was the same because the body temp was really low. They actually end up coming to the conclusion that Driscoll acted possessed at the same time as Billy was attacked, meaning the Mind Flayer has taken over her as well, and that they have to assume if there are two people, it means there could be more than two people. And that's when Elle decides to tell about Heather, and Nancy's like, "Who's Heather?" And they're like, the girl who works with Billy. And that's when Nancy realizes, oh, Tom's daughter? That would explain why Tom was acting weird too. So all of them like jam packed into a car. They go to break and enter yet another house. I mean, what's with Elle breaking and entering? So back at the woods, Joyce and Hopper are bickering. You can feel the tension in the air. And like, Hopper's biggest problem is that she's talking to men. First it was the teacher, now it's Alexei. So he's like, oh, he's your new boyfriend now? He's very annoying. I don't know why the creators thought that. For some reason, Hopper is very comedic in this season. It's very funny. I don't like it. It doesn't fit his vibes. Alexis, he makes a run to a 7-Eleven next to a highway. They get to the 7-Eleven. So he's such, even though he's like a scientist and he's making this evil machine, he's very childlike. He loves Slurpees. He's that kind of guy. At the 7-Eleven, after loading up on goodies, Hopper basically he flashes his badge at some random guy with a convertible and he's like, I'm the police, I'm taking over the vehicle. So now they're on their way to Illinois. Coop's team, oh, they're still walking, by the way. They're still walking and they're kind of discussing what those lanterns thingies could be. And to which Robin, she hops in and she's like, maybe it could be powering something. Steve and Dustin kind of stay back and just look at each other like, at the same time, their walkie-talkie is picking up the same transmission that's been going on. And one thing we know about that transmission is that it can reach the top side. What's their game plan? To enter the comms room. Everything about this is wrong. Everything, like, you go out, you don't go in. They just keep going in, not in, just go out. At Tom's or Heather's house, they find the house empty. The house is extremely cold, which means the Mind Flayer has been there, and all kinds of cleaning supplies emptied. I think there was a deep freezer that was like torn open, because don't freezers have some kind of gas? Fridges have some kind of gas. Apparently these fled people are drinking or eating this. They theorize that they are eating this to either create a new substance or to make something in themselves. This is when things get interesting, right? Nancy kind of hears like a faint pulsing, like a little thumping noise, but only she hears it. Like, she hears it and she follows it to find a bottle on the floor and the bloody stain. So they're like, right, Tom and his wife were kidnapped too. But I don't think anyone acknowledged this, but that sound didn't lead her to the bottle and the bloody stain, because she was following that sound. That's when she saw those two. So I don't know. I feel like the pulsing has to be connected to something else. At the garage, Nancy is like, Mrs. Driscoll, she wanted to go back. She kept saying she wanted to go back, she wanted to go back. So the flaying must be happening somewhere in another place. Maybe that is where she wants to go back. To which the most interesting character replies, Will. He replies, if she wants to go back, why not let her go back? This is very interesting because I am 100% convinced that this is Will playing spy and leading them into a trap yet again. Because with what we know, with what I know from the sixth episode, he's leading them to a trap, clearly. So whatever that is inside Will didn't truly leave him. Terminator, what's Terminator doing? He has followed Joyce and Hopper and he kind of threatens the sales assistant at 7-Eleven to give info, to which he gives. So he's on their tail. Who did this to go to meet in Illinois? Oh my god, my most hated and the most annoying character from season 2. Murray, how the detective slash ex journalist. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him even more now, but still, I hate him. He is absolutely paranoid, super patriotic, and he's filled with hatred at the Russian. And he's like doing full body checkups and stuff before letting him in. And Joyce has to like scream her head off to get him to stop his nonsense because all they want to do is get him to translate what they want to ask and to find out what's causing her magnets to fall off her fridge because somebody help this woman. Scoop's team, they break into the comms room just like that. Just like that. Steve punches the guy there. They all get distracted by a blue light, which is definitely coming from the machine. What's Mike and Co doing? They're at the hospital. They're trying to get past the receptionist who is like, two people only. So while Nancy and Jonathan they go up to see Driscoll, the kids are waiting downstairs. Elle and Mike they make up over M&Ms. Blech. Nancy and Jonathan make up. Blech. So when they go to Driscoll's room, it's empty. But guess who walks in? Tom, he's wiping his bloody hands on his shirt and he's like, she went home and he's about to take these two out. When Jonathan, he's quick thinking, he breaks a vase open on his head. So they run to the corridor and on the corridor, the other mean guy at work that genuinely looks like a cross between Trump and a rat. I'm not even lying. He's after them as well. Jonathan and Nancy are running around the corridors, which is empty. Like, where are the other patients? Is it a new wing? Because we see like parts of new wing that's being built. So what about the other patients? Doesn't this hospital have patients? Aren't there nurses? I don't know. Again, convenient to the plot. So they are escaping the men who at one point these men mold together to form like a bulked up mind flayer that is just bones and mincemeat. And that is where we end episode 5. We are at episode 6. It's called E pluribus unum. It's Latin for from many to one. And oh my god, it just makes sense. I didn't understand the episode when I was writing the script, but I just got it. The Scoops team, they discover the machine that is opening the gate. So while they are looking at that, the comms guy wakes up and he sounds the alarm. They go running around the facility before it's Dustin and Erica. They escape through more ducts and ventilation shafts, and Steve and Robin are caught. At the hospital, Nancy is locked in a room, and the monster melts, goes through the crack of the door, and forms into a full monster. Back again into the room, and Nancy is screaming because it's about to be her end. And the monster is about to give Nancy the Dementor's kiss. I mean, I'm telling you, the parallels. Those who haven't watched Harry Potter, the Dementor's kiss is like where Nancy's on the floor and the monster is on top of her. So close enough to kiss Nancy. When the monster is about to eat Nancy, Elle breaks open the door because Will's spidey sensors told that something's wrong. So they all ended up running upstairs. Elle comes to the rescue. She breaks open the door and she plays tennis ball with the monster. Basically throws him to the right, throws him to the left, and then throws him through the window. So all these kids they go following to see where the monster is going, and this monster ends up melting and runs down the sewage to go meet Billy and Heather, who are the bursting boba cult leaders apparently. 4th of July celebrations preps by the mayor is in full swing. So he's preparing for the celebrations in the evening. He's bruised, absolutely bruised, but manages to disguise himself. Like Terminator ends up finding him and punches him inside a ride. At Illinois, we have the slappy drama going on. So back in Illinois, Hopper he returns with an order from Burger King, while Alexis is just chilling, watching Looney Tunes. Food is for Alexis, by the way. And after the most annoying cherry versus strawberry Slurpee conversation, and Alexis is such a cutie. He's like, I'm sorry, I can't give you info until I get the cherry Slurpee. Obviously, he's saying all this in Russian because Marie is translating everything. Hopper is all angry and he tries to beat Alexis up, and it's supposed to be funny, but it's not. I didn't find it funny because I feel like it's Hopper going out of character. For the last 2 seasons, Hopper was a very serious guy, and then this season they made him funny. Like with the mic scene and everything. He's very funny this season. So basically what happens is Alexis is like, I'm not giving information without the cherry slurpee. And Hopper is like, they didn't have cherry slurpee, they had only strawberry. So they're just having that conversation. At one point, Hopper just kicks Alexis out of the house. He gives the keys to the convertible, and he's like, Alexis is still cuffed, by the way. He just throws the keys to the convertible, and he's like, go, 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 go. And he's in the garage. After he's locked the door in the garage, he's boasting to Joyce and Murray that, well, he's not gonna go. He's not gonna do it because if he goes back to his bosses without a scratch on him, they'll probably think that he spilled all the state secrets and risk his life. Turns out Hopper is right. I mean, chief of police for a reason, right? Alexis, he makes this big show of leaving, only to reverse back and return inside. And he's like, you know what? I like strawberry slurpee as well. Dustin and Erica, they're inside the vents. They're trying to get out because there are fans in between the vents. So they're trying to like get through to the stop the fans and get through. And while they're doing that, Dustin tells Erica everything about L and the upside down. So Dustin and Erica, they end up having a conversation, and he reminds her that no matter what she says, she's a nerd as well because she's really good at mental arithmetics and she likes My Little Pony. Steve is getting beaten to a pulp, and the Anthony Hopkins looking general, he's not taking I just sling ice cream for an answer. So he's just punching him, who do you work for? Who do you work for? Who do you work for? Steve kind of makes a good argument, and he's like, I literally work for Scoops. Leave me, leave Robin, leave us. We're not going to tell anyone. Just let us go and we won't breathe a word. And Steve says something about a USS Butterscotch that doesn't help, and he ends up getting beaten again. He cannot catch a break. Just give me one season when he's not getting beaten up. He's just getting beaten up by everyone. He's Russian military guys. They end up tying up Robin and Steve together. And this Anthony Hopkins looking guy, he slaps Robin around before he ties her up, and she ends up spitting in his face. And he's like, I won't let that go. At the Wheeler's basement, Elle is spying on people who think might be flayed. She actually looks like a tarot card reader with all these pictures of people laid in front of her. So if you don't know how Elle spies on people, she basically puts on something staticky and closes her eyes and goes to look for them in her mind. Outside the room where Elle is, Nancy is making calls everywhere because she's confused that the flayed army, they've been like eating all these chemicals all these days, right? They've been drinking ammonia, they've been eating fertilizer by the handful. They aren't doing that anymore. So it's so weird. Nancy says that it's really weird that they stopped their pattern. And Max and Mike, they're having a full-on argument where Mike is like, Max and all of you are misusing Elle's powers, and that she's depleting herself and you guys are using her like a machine. He means Elle. And Max replies with, you shouldn't decide what she should and shouldn't do. She's the one that should decide. And Nancy ends up taking her side as well. After all, Elle saved the world twice. Pretty sure she can take care of herself. Mike is going on this side tangent that he loves her and that he can't lose her one more time. And of course, this is when everyone decides to be silent. And out walks Elle. She's found him. She's found Billy. But she also heard Mike. But she doesn't acknowledge that. Back in Illinois, Alexis is explaining the machine while Marie translates. So he's telling that this machine needs a lot of power, which is why the abandoned houses were near transformers. And the machine is basically stealing from Hawkins's power grid. And Hopper, he asks, why here? Like, why aren't you guys doing this in Russia? Why are you doing this? Why are you stealing our power? And Alexis says that there were many machines like this in Russia previously. It was used to open a doorway, sort of break a barrier, like a barrier between worlds. And the second he says doorway, both Hopper and Joyce start looking at each other and they're like, oh shit. Is this the gate? Turns out the location was the key to opening the gate because this gate was already opened in Hawkins and it's healing right now. This is the best time to open it while it's vulnerable. What Alexis says is that we were trying to open the gate, but the location was a problem. So we had to pack our bags and move to the US because this gate is healing. Murray looks extremely shocked, but I thought he knew about this. I thought Murray knew about this. Didn't Nancy and Jonathan give him the info? Because I am pretty sure he conspired with them to bring justice to Barb's death. Joyce asks if the door is open, to which Alexis replies that it's opening. And this obviously gets Hopper's blood pressure high. He takes a walk. He's like those cats. He takes a walk, he gulps down some vodka, and he comes to Alexis to ask how to turn off the machine. And that, I'll take you to base. Just go turn it off. And this time, Alexis starts laughing like crazy because he says, I'm compromised. I am exposed, and there is no way anyone can get into that fortress because it's extremely secure. Except the Scoops team did. Robin and Steve, they try to escape. They're tied together. So they try to escape. They try to jump, 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 try to get a scissor to escape, but they end up falling together. And while they're on the floor, Robin confesses that she always noticed Steve and that she was obsessed with him. She knew what he ate, she knew what he drank, she knew what time he came to school and all that. Back to Elle. So apparently Billy is just waiting in his room for Elle to have a chat. This is not in real, this is in Elle's mind. So everyone is discussing that it's probably a trap, but he's the only one that knows where the mind flayer is spreading from. So the hard part is she has to take the bait. Like they know it's a trap, but they have to take the bait because if she can get into Billy's memories, she can see where this is originating from. But Mike is scared. Max is rolling her eyes because Mike is like, don't do this, don't do this. But Elle tells him that she'll be fine there, that he just needs to trust her. Back in Illinois, Hopper makes a call to the higher ups. He keeps talking for more than 2 minutes because he needs to be traced, and Murray's out there like, can you cut the call? Can you cut the call? They'll trace me. They'll trace us. And Hopper is like, yeah, I know. I want them to trace us. And he calls them to give a message to Dr. Owens. He says that the Russians are trying to open the gate, like get this message across, and that the facility has an entrance to the Starcourt Mall. He's basically requesting backup. After he keeps the phone, Joyce is pissed because he's too calm. So she ends up calling the number back and she screams her head off. She's like, I don't know what he told you. That's not what we want. We are going in. We need backup ASAP. All of them are like picking up their stuff and they're going back to Hawkins. Back to the Scoops team. The Scoops team were actually injected with the truth serum. I don't know if I told that, but they were injected with the truth serum and they're kind of spilling their guts. They're very giggly. They're spilling info. Steve ends up blabbering about Dustin, and the mean general is like, who is Dustin? We can assume that Steve said everything about Dustin. And then all of a sudden, the alarms outside, they start blaring. All the officers, they run outside, leaving Robin and Steve alone. They go to find like big hole on the floor burned down by those glowing lanterns. So someone had broken all those lanterns and the lanterns have made a big hole. This was a distraction for Dustin and Erica. They barge in with a cattle prod. They zap the doctor there and escape with Steve and Robin. Elle goes to find Billy in her mind. She sort of tries to go into his mind without his knowledge, but he kind of force pushes her into his memories. Like he pushes her way back to when he was a kid. I think this is Billy asking for help because Billy is possessed by the mind flayer, but this might be a part of Billy that is still conscious, that wants to get some message across or that wants her to know. We go back to when Billy was a kid. Billy's dad was abusive to him and his mom, and his mom decides to leave the dad. She doesn't take Billy. It's always the kids that's caught in the middle, right? So Billy, with the abusive dad and no mom, he doesn't know where to channel his anger. So he ends up beating kids. We are introduced to Max and her mom. They come into the picture. Elle also sees Billy on the night of the accident, which leads her straight into the warehouse. So she reads the name of the place, and both Nancy and Jonathan, they end up finding the address. So now that she's found where the warehouse is, it's Elle's turn to leave Billy's mind ASAP. Except he doesn't let her go. Not until he gives her a warning. He tells her that she opened the gate and this time all of them are here to stay. And that this army that they've been building, that they've built, is for her. This army are going to end her and then her friends and then everyone around. So the episode ends with all these flayed people. They return to the warehouse to mold into this giant monster. Elle is literally dangling from the ceiling by a tentacle. Max is screaming. Lucas has an axe. And Mike is ripping off a monster hand like it's Velcro. Yeah, welcome to season 3. Dustin and Erica, they escape the facility with Steve and Robin. That can't stop giggling. They look drunk, they act high, and all that because of the truth serum. Guards end up following them, so they take the mall back door and they sneak into the theater. Dustin, he goes out to radio someone for transport because Steve's keys are with the Russians. And he says Erica to keep an eye on Steve and Robin. At the cabin, the monster is finally here. and it's breaking down everything. And it has way too many limbs that look like tentacles, and each tentacle thing looks like a hand. Elle, she tries her best to cut all of this. So she's stopping the monster from the right, she's stopping the monster from the left, and then she tries to put both the tentacles together, and then because there are too many tentacles coming at her, until one grabs her through the roof and is now dangling her while the rest of them are holding on to Elle. So Lucas somehow manages to chop off that tentacle. He has an axe. And the hand like part that is still holding on to Elle, Mike pulls it off and she screams and she's bleeding a lot. She manages to tear the monster in two. Oh my god, this was so satisfying. So they're all going somewhere again, packed into a car. The Illinois team, they're on the way to Hawkins. Alex is showing Murray the location of the keys to turn off the machine. It's in a vault, and you need the Planck's constant, which is 6.63 rounded off to open it. Joyce and Hopper, they are bickering non-stop in the front seat, and Murray just shouts at them to quit it and that they are obviously thirsting for each other. So they either shut up or stop the car, go do the deed, and get it over with. That shuts them up. Nancy has broken into a supermarket, and now they are all inside trying to clean Elle's wounds and wrap her up in a bandage. But this is also when Nancy realizes that the monster might be the flayed army molded together. So if you kill the monster, you kill the flayed, but we need Elle for that. And right now, Elle is not in the best health. While everyone's trying to get bandages for Elle, Mike tries to tell Elle that he loves her, but he gets interrupted by Dustin trying to radio him. He ignores that, and then he tells Elle that he's jealous, that she spends more time with Max now, and that he's trying really hard to tell he loves her, and she's just pretending like she has no idea what he's talking about. He's just trying to get it out of here, but it doesn't happen. Dustin is back with a code red. His walkie is dying, and all he wants to say is that the Russians are in Hawkins trying to open the gate and that they need a ride. But Mike doesn't catch that. So now Ellie's using the freezer around to focus so that she can find where Dustin is. Except we have a PPL for Coke here. Another distraction this season. Like she finds that Dustin is at the movies and they leave the supermarket, but not before Lucas. He grabs a cart full of like pretty big fireworks, apparently equals to dynamite. So the plan is to attack the monster with fireworks. Oh, and else blood at the store. They join together to form a mini monster slime. And I think they give Billy a message because Billy walks into the store sometime back. Steve and Robin, they sneak past Erica to go throw up. And while hugging the toilet bowls, Steve tells Robin that he likes this girl and he's clearly talking about her. And Robin tells him that she was obsessed with Steve, not because she liked him, but because the girl she liked him. So, Robin's gay. This is actually one of the most iconic coming out scenes. It's very beautiful. Hopper and Joyce, they are at the carnival because they think the kids are there. Maya sees them, calls the Terminator. On the other hand, Alex is explaining Murray how to use the keys to destroy the machine and to stay the hell away from it when it does. Ooh, foreshadowing. Spooky. And then he goes on to say that when this is all over, he can become an American citizen to enjoy the carnival. And this is when Muddy gets him tickets to the carnival. Alex enjoys some games, wins prizes, only to get pew-pewed by the Terminator. So, rest in peace. Murray finds Hopper and Joyce. Hopper has like a fight at one of those creepy doll houses, mirror mazes, bouncy castles. What do you, I don't know what you call it, but it's the one from Haunting Adeline, where Zed and Adeline, he manages to get one of the guy's walkie talkies and he escapes with the other two. He just leaves Alexis' dead body somewhere at the carnival to traumatize someone. I'm guessing the Russian government will take care of it. They overhear a message from another Russian at the mall telling that the kids are headed to the food court at the mall. So, Team Hopper, they run into the mall. The kids at the mall being Scoop's team because they tried to escape with the movie crowd, but the Russians got there, so they had to run to the empty food court to hide. The Russians get there, these fellows are hiding under a counter, and right when the Russians get close to finding them, a car in the food court, yes, a car, starts beeping like crazy, and it's like thrown across the Russians, knocking them out. Elsia. So the team is finally together. Nancy, Jonathan, Elle, Mike, Lucas, Max, Steve, Robin, Dustin, and Erica. I love this scene so much. Everyone's talking over each other, filling in. Robin has to keep up with Elle and her powers. So much going on to the point that Elle is overstimulated and just faints. That shuts them up, and turns out it's her leg. It's swollen, infected, and something is moving inside. Yikes. And now we are at the eighth and final episode. Thank you so much if you're still here. It means a lot to me. Now let's put an end to this season, shall we? Joyce, Hopper, and Murray, they're on the way to the mall food court. Everyone else is at the food court trying to figure out how to get whatever is slithering inside Elle's leg out. Jonathan, he eats a knife. It's a good thing they're in a food court, right? Digs inside her leg. She can't take it anymore, so she does it herself with her powers. What comes out? A mini hand looking thing that was part of the monster, which Hopper tramples with his shoes. Hopper is here! Yay! So they all catch up on the monster. When Murray joins them, he joins them with the blueprints of the facility. He's trying to come up with a plan. Erica speaks facts because they've been there and know better. She's like, no, that's longer than what it is given there. Dustin, he ends up telling them about the underground vents. He offers to navigate, but Hopper strictly asks him to do the navigation from topside. But it's not that simple because the signal won't reach. And this is when Cerebro comes into play. So Steve's the convertible's daddy now. So Steve's driving the convertible. Him, Robin, Dustin, and Erica, they're going to the radio tower, which is at the top of the hill. Elle and Hopper, they have the most heartwarming catch up, and he's off to the Russian base with Joyce and Murray. He's not happy with Joyce joining, but you need three people for the job. Murray to create a distraction, Joyce and Hopper to turn the key, explore the machine, and escape. Their plan doesn't go well because there are Russian commies outside, so they shoot them up and get in their uniforms. Elle is bleeding, she's not feeling good. She needs two people to hold her up. So Nancy and Jonathan, they're taking her someplace safe, except their car doesn't start. No ignition cable. So they go back into the mall. Mike is radioing for transport, and good thing we have a car in the food court, right? The ignition cable. Except it's like a turned roach, and Elle offers to turn the car back up, but her powers are not working. Ooh, what now? They use physics. They end up using physics to turn the car. They try to get the cable. Elle is trying to move something, at least a gummy bear. Yeah, that's not happening. Her powers are gone. But baby boy, Mind Flayer, 1,000-ish points of flesh and bones falls right through the ceiling. Fun. Hop and them, they walk past a guard. Thank God for Russian speaking guys. They go through the vents, and while Murray he creates his distraction, Joyce and Hopper they have a little chat and they set up a date for a date. So if this all goes well, they're having that date at Enzo's. But it's all good, right? It's all good, right? The Mind Flayer, he's doing some crazy stuff that even Scoop's team at the top of the hill can see. So Dustin radios them about the danger, but it's the Mind Flayer that answers the walkie and just roars into the walkie. Now they're all hiding under counters. Again, good, it's a food court. So the Mind Flayer is looking for them, and Elle, Max, and Mike, they sort of try to escape through a store. A lot of hiding, anticipation, and Lucas just hits a balloon with his slingshot catapult thingy. I don't know that one. He distracts the Mind Flayer, and they try to escape too. They try to get the car to start, and guess who is headed to T-bone Nancy? Oh yeah, Billy Boy. Hopper and team, they got to the vault to get the key, but the planks Constant Murray gave is wrong, and Murray doesn't know more than a few digits. And apparently, the only one person that knows the whole thing is Susie from Utah. She exists, she's real, and she knows the plank's constant. The whole thing. Except she's unserious and she wants Dustin to sing when it's literally a life or death situation. Alarms are going off in the base, Mind Flayer is looking to bulk up, and here we have Susie. It's funny, it's absurd. They should have included a shot of even the Mind Flayer being confused, like, what the hell? 2 minutes of them singing Never Ending Story. Confused kids, confused adults, but we get the number. And the vault is open, keys are out. Hopper and Joyce, they are off to break the machine, but they don't know Terminator and team are there as well. Billy is back because he crashed his car. The Mind Flayer is doing a U-turn. So at this point, everyone's not at the mall. Dustin and team, they're at the hilltop. So they are going back to the mall to save their friends. Nancy and them are going someplace safe. The thing is, the Mind Flayer was following them. But then he decided to do a U-turn because I can't remember well, but I think Elle, Mike, and Max were still inside the mall. They're all going back to the mall. I just can't. Why do you guys keep leaving the mall so many times? Do you know how big malls are? Billy gets Elle. He sort of like sacrifices her to the Mind Flayer that's getting real close to eating her up. Those fireworks from before, they light up the Mind Flayer. Like while there's literal fireworks going off around, what feels like a romantic moment, Elle, she gets to Billy and uses his memories of his mom to bring him back to his old self. So he sort of has that moment that he kind of has that clarity, like, oh shit, what am I doing kind of moment. Hopper and Terminator, they sort of do like a fight dance that takes them to the machine. So right now they are right next to the machine, and we need to close the gate right now because the Mind Flayer is sizzling. The Mind Flayer is weak, the Mind Flayer is sizzling. We need to close the gate right now, but Hopper is still near the machine and Joyce is alone. You know where this is going, right? And Billy, in a last minute redemption arc, he kind of stands up to the Mind Flayer to protect Elle, and Joyce, she turns the keys because it's the only way. She uses a bell to turn the other key. Double kill. Rest in peace, Billy. Rest in peace, Hopper. Hmm. Machine explodes, gate closes, Mind Flayer dies. Backup is finally here after all that. Max is crying, Joyce is crying, Elle is crying. Months go by. According to the world, it was a mall fire and it killed Hopper and a few others. Everyone's death, like Barb from season 1 and Bob from season 2, are on the news. Hawkins is finally famous. It's like the Area 51 of weird activities. Steve and Robin, they work at the movie rental place now because there's no mall. Joyce is moving. She's moving with the kids and Elle. Elle is going with her. Still no powers. Nancy and Jonathan are crying. Elle tells Mike she loves him too. Just, dude, don't let that girl do everything. Just tell it. Mike is so annoying. Are you? Joyce gives Elle the piece of paper which Hopper wrote his Elle and Mike speech in. It's all heart touching, teary, hugs and kisses, all that, and they all leave to California. Will, he kind of donates his old D&D. Dustin gifts that to Erica. This is pretty important for season 4. This would be the end of the season. I personally would have preferred if the season ended here. Like, in case season 5 turns out to be shitty, this is gonna be the end of the show for me. This would be the end of the season, except we get an epilogue. We are in Russia. A random prisoner is being fed to a Demogorgon. And we have an American prisoner. Who could that be? You'll find out in season 4. Thank you so much if you managed to finish this. I've got season 4 coming up. Then probably season 5 recaps and stuff. And then the Housemaid book, the movie, Frankenstein book, movie. This basically, I'm thinking of this being like a book and movie review channel. And then maybe depending on who watches, depending on the views, I'd probably do more shows. So just subscribe, okay? Bye.